Hello and welcome. Welcome, Internet experts. Happy December. We are in the palindrome day of 12/1/21, and I guess that's maybe only if you do things like Americans do. So if you're not American, I apologize if that didn't make any sense. But anyway, beautiful late fall, early winter, depending on how you look at it day. And, a kind of day that makes you want to whistle. Just get out your whistle and whistle. So welcome. Thanks for joining me. I've got a little different kind of camera situation going on today. I'll explain that in a second. Hello, Aaron. Welcome. So I have one of my cameras loaned out, and I'm actually expecting a new camera for the channel to come through FedEx tomorrow. So they thought they might get it here today, and I was thinking, hey, I'll be able to show everybody a new camera, all that stuff. But I have my good camera loaned out. This is an old camera, so if it doesn't look great, and my lights are also loaned out, so I've got track lighting here in my office, so I just kind of pivoted everything toward me. It's not great, but hopefully we can get through without it being too distracting. I know the color was off last week. This week we're using a different camera. Next week, hopefully we'll be using another different camera, but those results should be better. So I'm looking forward to that. Kind of an early Christmas present. It was a Black Friday deal, so we managed to get that taken care of a little before Christmas. But hopefully that means in the future the channel will be going to 4K for most of our content. So we'll see how that goes, because the GoPros are already 4K. Anything I shoot with my phone is 4K. And then it's just these other pieces and some B-roll things that I've been doing in 1080 still. And even if all the videos aren't 4K, then at least we'll have that quality if we crunch it down to 1080. So we'll see how that all goes, and looking forward to bringing you that through through almost all the rest of this year and into next year. The next video I have coming out is a interview. I think I talked about it last week on the live stream. Interview with Joe Mack. He's a Mustang Mach-e owner who bought his Mustang in late June 20th, I think he said. And he has had it over 17,000 miles now. He's driven on it. So really excited to bring you that, but that is a over 2-hour interview. It was about 2 hours and 10 minutes, I think. And so I am trimming that down, taking all the fluff out for the most part. Anytime we're just, bantering back and forth, or like Joan came in to visit at one point, so had her up on my knee, and, we're just saying hi, talking kids for a minute. So that stuff's all cut out. You don't have to see that, but there's a lot of good stuff and a lot of good perspectives from my conversation with Joe. So happy to be able to bring that to you, and should be out Sunday morning. It is a tedious editing process, kind of like I was saying with the cameras for the live stream. We recorded that through Zoom, and I, completely my fault, had the settings set wrong, and so I'm having to do a lot of editing and creativity to make that quality a little better of a presentation than just how it was recorded through Zoom. So learned a lesson, but the conversation is so good, and Joe's perspective and his enthusiasm for EVs and the mach-e really is the important focus on there, more than the video quality that I would have liked to have had, but you take what you can get. So it's not worth, I don't want to take Joe, ask him to do another 2 hours of non-spontaneous conversation and like I said, I think the conversation is good enough on its own that having to deal with a little different formatting, it's still going to come out okay. And I'm going to throw some B-roll from his photos of his car and some of my test drive in there to kind of highlight some of the things we're talking about. So hopefully it's entertaining. I think it's definitely going to be a useful resource for people who are either about to order a new EV or have their mach-e reservation in and just want to know, hey, how's this thing, in the real world from someone who's got a lot of experience. So I think it's going to be really valuable. And I learned a lot as someone who's driven it, but I really wanted to share that long-term owner perspective. So like I said, that's going to be coming out Sunday. If I can get the rest of the editing done. I'm about halfway through it now, but like I said, I think it's valuable, and even as a I'm not going to order a mach-e. It's, we've got our car, we're set, hopefully for, like I said, 10 to 12 years, but getting that perspective and, hearing, what somebody loves about their car is always kind of fun. And if you're a Tesla owner, or other EV owner, it's worth hearing that. So as people are asking you about, well, I'd like to get this, but really I'm a Ford guy. I always want to get I want to stick with Ford. How's their EV? You'll have a reference of what it's like to live with one. So I think it's worthwhile. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And like I said, should be coming out Sunday. Hi, John. Welcome. Good to see you. Just going to read the comments here quick. This is candid camera, yes. That's a throwback. Are you going to talk about a certain YouTube channel blasting another YouTube? Yeah, I didn't actually watch that. We talked a little about this last week. I've taken the GoPro underwater, John. That has happened. I also noticed I probably have a little more motion blur because this is being shot at 30 frames a second instead of 60. So I apologize if I'm kind of blurry. You can just think of me as the Flash and too quick to handle in this exciting scene I am in. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I've taken the GoPro underwater. I've got some fun stuff from Hawaii. My wife and I, well, all three of us, went there a few years ago, and fabulous time. So the GoPros have been underwater. I hope I don't need to do Tesla filming underwater. My Tesla, your performance went up $10,000 since you bought it. Yeah, mine's gone up quite a bit too. But hopefully in 2022 that curve can start coming down. But John brought up a good point, and it's kind of the thing I wanted to kick off talking about tonight, is that last week we were talking about how one YouTube channel was questioning the ethics and interest and I guess questioning, the ethics of Tom Malogny's Lucid Air charging test. And I had said, I have complete confidence in Tom that he's been in this a whole long time. He knows what he's doing and doesn't really show any brand preferences. That doesn't mean you have to agree with him for anything. But if he says something is charging this way, then his channel name is State of Charge, and he picked that because that is his focus and his interest. And so as he's been working with EVs for years and years, he doesn't have he's not playing favorites with Lucid. But that's kind of what he was accused about. Then people piled on. I think a lot of people in defense of Tom, and then a lot of people, or a handful of people, jumping on with the other channel, and it's really unfortunate. And that saga seems to be continuing, but really there's room enough for everybody. Elon's mission, the Tesla mission, is to transition the world to sustainable energy, sustainable transportation, and really he's stated several times like Tesla can't do it alone. We need other people. Lucid seems to have enough money in the bank. They're going to be fine, even though they might be slower than we'd like them to be. We've talked about that before, that Rivian's kind of in that same bag. They seem to have plenty of money. They just need to speed up their production. And hopefully over the course of the next year they do that. And it would be great if both of them upped their production targets, trying to still deliver a quality product, but go beyond what their current plans are stating. So they both seem like great vehicles for the right person, and hopefully, it's just a matter of getting production out there. So that's all out there, and there seems to be a lot of defensiveness about vehicle brand choices, and we've kind of talked about this too. The Mustang Mach-E people versus the Tesla people versus the Hyundai people versus the Porsche Taycan. That's a big battle of people's tastes, but really, for the most part, that's what it is. It's a battle of people's tastes. And I think on one hand, it gets toxic, and although people love throwing that word out, it does get people are a little too raw about it, thinking that any preference choice is a slight against them. And I'm guilty of that too. There's some YouTubers I really like and respect. They had a Tesla. They had a bad experience. It wasn't living up to what they hoped or what they... All right. I just had a camera stop on me. So if you can still hear me, we are going to hopefully be back in a second. Okay, is that going to happen every... Well, we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Like I said, I'm not used to using this camera, so I apologize for that. Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, that really threw me. What was I saying? I was talking about the different brands. This other YouTube channel that I really like and respect. They aren't Tesla related or anything, but the people on the channel owned a Tesla, had a poor experience. They didn't feel like they were getting what they were promised out of it, and they decided to sell it and get a BMW or something, which they seem to love. Unfortunately, it's a gas car, but I don't expect their next car will be gas. But I think, they were early adopters and excited about it, and it just wasn't working for them. And they, like I said, just didn't have a great experience. And that, with all companies, unfortunately, is going to happen to people. There was another popular thread on Twitter this week of someone who is recommending that nobody buy the Model Y. And I didn't read the thread because it came off to me as, again, one person's experience, meaning that was the experience for everybody. And, with these other YouTubers having a bad experience, it's unfortunate. A lot of people piled on and were kind of rude about it. But they were just saying, this is our experience. And so a lot of people who love their cars and have been having great experiences are saying, no, you're wrong, you didn't have a bad experience, you're just stupid, or you don't know what you're talking about, or, whatever. Kind of the typical list of things start coming out. And that's kind of what I saw with this person's thread. He had another post today about how all the Tesla fanboys were, have been harassing him for a week. But, he's also generalizing. There are some people who think Tesla can do no wrong. There are people who think Tesla can do no right. And everybody's got a different experience. For the most part, our ownership experience has been great. But I had realistic expectations of, it's not good. No product is perfect all the time in every case. So, it gets a little frustrating reading some comments of like, no one should buy this car. And then other people saying you should only buy this car and nothing else. Talking to Joe, who spends a ton of time in his vehicles, he just didn't like how the Model Y rode. And he was like, hey, I got to spend, hours a day in my car. He's in real estate, so driving from showing to house all over the metro area. And, it was just like, the ride comfort wasn't there for him for the Model Y. But he wasn't going to spend for a Model S or X either. So that just didn't work. He got in the Mach-E and went, this is the ride quality that I want, expect, need for my use case. And he's been very happy with that, and that's great. He got out of a gas car and into, all those 17,000 miles plus would have been in a gas car had he not got the Mach-E. So I think it's important to step back and look at the big picture of, the more the merrier. Obviously, there are some companies that don't have a product that you can be skeptical about until they put something on the road. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. But assuming they're going to fail because they're not Tesla is a little bit childish until there's proof of it. We'll see. But anyway, like I said, people have good experiences, bad experiences with a lot of different companies, and, a brand you might like, someone's sworn off of, and it's unfortunate. I was kind of, I told you about this YouTuber couple that I really enjoy their content. I have great trust in their being authentic to their experience by the other content they make. And I don't think they were saying this to generate a lot of buzz. They were just telling their story. And, I just said, I just replied to them that I was sorry they had a bad experience, because that's just how it's going to go for some people. And, maybe down the road they try it again, or, maybe they will go into a Taycan or something. Who knows? So there's a brand to fit everyone, hopefully, as more and more companies go electric. And we all know GM is leading the way with their EVs that you can't buy right now. But anyway, just wanted to touch on that. And online, we got to be a little less reactionary. when I first read that post from those YouTubers that I like, I was like, no, that's not how it is. It's like, no, that's how it unfortunately was for them. And, I had to kind of take a step back on myself and say, okay, settle down. It's a product, and sometimes products don't work correctly. So that's just how it goes. And it does happen with every company. Some people will never buy a Bolt again or a GM product again because of what happened with the Bolt. Now, should they in a few years relook at maybe the Lyric or the, whatever the next generation of Bolt is? If it's a good car and right for them, then they probably should, but they might not because they feel, like that brand betrayed them. That's just going to happen, and especially as Tesla gets bigger, unfortunately, more of those negative experiences are going to happen. Hopefully they can minimize those as much as possible. Someone was complaining about, they've never had a good service experience with Tesla. I've never really had a bad one. Those are both very individual cases, and, geography plays a part in that, the vehicle type, when it happens to you, what else is going on in your life. If I'm, like this week, I'm suddenly homeschooling because the district shut down all the schools for a week. Things aren't going as efficiently as they would in a normal week when my daughter's at school. So, what's going on in a person's life has a lot to do with things too. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of reactionary arguing that goes on Twitter that I don't think is really constructive, and people assume someone's got the worst intentions just by stating their preference. Sean Mitchell, YouTube, and I guess he's on YouTube primarily, but he's also on Twitter. I follow him, and he's generally a pretty reasonable guy. And, just said, hey, Edmunds had a poll on Twitter of, which interior do you like better, the Mach-E or the Model Y? And for me, it's the Model Y. So that's what I voted. But there's nothing wrong with the Mach-E interior. There's nothing wrong, it's fine if that's what you want. So, and some people are going to want that. Talking to Joe, he was saying how he was coming from another Ford model, and he said the only thing different is the drivetrain. A little bit on the screen, but he uses Apple CarPlay. And so there was no learning curve of where's this button, where's that button, what's on the screen. He gets in, puts on Apple CarPlay, and he drives it just like he did his other vehicle, only now he's using electric. So everybody's going to have their own taste, and we need to just be cool with that. So to flip that, I think some of this is also a really good thing, in that in Minnesota there are tons of trucks, and all through my neighborhood, I'm in the suburbs, there's not much use for a truck, but the guy next to me has a Dodge. There's a Chevy, another Dodge, a Ford. I think there's another Ford somewhere on the other side of the road. Anyway, lots of trucks, and everybody's got that brand loyalty, that brand preference. And especially with trucks, you see the Calvin peeing on the other logo. And as EVs get more mainstream, I think it's kind of good to have a healthy, my car is better than your car, to a point. I think especially for EV people who want to see more EVs on the road, there's definitely a point where you can rib each other, but then it's like, hey, it's an EV. It's better than a non-EV. And then, but, as things, like I said, get more mainstream, I think there's always going to be some elements of people that my team is best, and even though the greatest player of all time might be on your team, I'm going to say he stinks because he's not on my team. There's always going to be some of that. And so as things get more mainstream, we're going to see more and more of that. Like I said, I hope most of that can be good-natured ribbing or, gross decals on people's cars or whatever. But to switch everyone to an EV, one company can't do it on their own. And shouldn't, because people have different preferences. So, sorry if that was way too long of a rant, but it seems to be really brewing on Twitter, between YouTube channels and things, and it's December. We're in the holidays, and goodwill toward men. So let's all be chill. How about that? I see we got a couple more comments here. Getting a new camera, what happened to the other camera? The camera we're on right now is a camera I got when I started doing video in 2010. I may have got the camera in 2012. And it was pretty good in 2012. But it has lived a very hard life. It has shot lots of corporate video, lots of corporate photographs, and I don't know if it's coming through on the live stream, but it might have a dead pixel or two in it. I hope not, but so it's had a rough life. I made that my secondary camera and kind of like time-lapse camera a few years ago when I upgraded to the camera that I usually use. But then that one was also a maximum of 1080 resolution. And as we're almost into 2022, it seems like I should probably be making the leap into 4K just for different little video quality things to be able to publish videos in 4K. Might bring more people to the channel, although most people watch stuff on their phones, and the resolution really isn't. I mean, it can be that great, but most people stream in pretty low resolution. But there are people out there who only want to watch 4K channels, so that's a piece of it too. So I ended up buying a new Canon camera, mirrorless, that's got 4K. And so I found a used one, got that. Like I said, it should arrive tomorrow. And then I'll be I'll be selling the camera we're on right now and my other newer camera, selling those off, selling the lenses for those to help pay for the new one, because it's not cheap. But ultimately, again, kind of like moving to the Model Y when the Model S was perfectly capable. It's a good time. I can still get a decent used price on the cameras that I'll be trading in. And, upgrading to 4K on a pretty robust camera system should hopefully set me up for the next 5 years, 10 years. We'll see. So I'm kind of late to the 4K party, but again, just trying to improve some things and, set the channel and my other, freelance work up for better quality, as we go into the future. So that's the reason for the camera switch. So hopefully, if all goes well, the new camera will come in tomorrow. I'll be able to have some time to play with that and get used to using it before next Wednesday. And so next Wednesday's stream should look a lot better. I'll also have my video lights back instead of just the track lighting in the office. And so hopefully the whole shebang looks a lot better. I did want to ask hey Dave, welcome. Glad that you're here, and glad you made it on your epic trip of a month long of travels to Wyoming and up through here through Minnesota and back, and just got back. I watched your returning trip. I think you're coming down from Nashville or Memphis. I think Nashville, but I could be wrong. Now that I'm saying it live, I'm second guessing it, but it sounds like you had a fantastic trip with a very loaded car. If people haven't seen that series, Dave does a really good job of talking about how the car is performing, showing you exactly how loaded that car was, and how the days go traveling with that was with the Model Y, I believe. So yes, it was. I'm just picturing you opening the back door, and that was that door, not the Falcon Wings. So glad you had a good trip, and if people haven't watched it, go and check out that series on EV Dave's channel. So hopefully going to be upgrading the look on the channel a little bit. When I started doing the live stream, I have this as the background. I'm considering switching it up, but I don't know what I would switch it up to. I know staring at obviously this face and then in 4K, it's going to be rough. But then also that background is very stark blue to be looking at for a long time. So if anyone has any good ideas of what should be behind me, I hesitate to do, the shelves like everybody on YouTube does, the shelves of knickknacks. I could do that, but if anyone's got any great ideas, I'm all ears. The last one was Nashville to home. Thanks, Dave. Great. Some of those stretches just had magnificent scenery as you're driving through, and even the trip back from Nashville to your home was, the leaves are mostly off the trees, but just going through the mountains and everything, it looked great. So if you like scenery, seeing the country, that's another great reason to watch Dave's videos. And he likes to make sure you look around every so often and see what's going on, even if that's just nothing across like a Nebraska or southern Minnesota for that matter, on the way out to Wyoming, but that's what's there. And I love watching your stuff. So great scenery, great to look around and see what's there and follow your adventures. So very cool. Let's see. Going back to that lucid charging thing, John says the other viewers from the other channel came over to Tom's channel and started bashing him. That's just really unfortunate. Tom's a pretty... obviously I don't know him personally, but Tom's a pretty up and up guy as far as I can tell. Nothing in any of his videos has ever led me to believe that he's going Mr. Sensational. So, yeah, that was really uncalled for. And, yeah, he's done a couple videos kind of explaining that in more detail of what he was talking about, with more backup. And I've kind of just stayed out of it. I haven't watched much of that because, I kind of hate to add fuel into that fire. There's been a couple other things where I've felt like jumping in on some Twitter conversations, and I'm like, enough people are in this mess, and I don't need to be a part of it. So, yeah. Yeah, Aaron, I think you'd enjoy Dave's channel. Yeah. Yeah, lots of good road trips. The summary did some, speaking of the mach-e like we were earlier, Dave did a couple tests, I think, with the mach-e and the Model Y parked outside in the sun to see how they would do and how they would both manage the interior temperatures. That was a pretty interesting test, too. So he's got a lot of interesting stuff. And we've got Jim here, too, the Iowa Tesla guy. Hi, Jim. And Jim just did a good video this morning about full self-driving beta 10.5 and how it's working for him on his drive. For the most part, his experience is pretty close to mine, although I've got one weird kind of bug where I haven't seen any other channels talk about this, but with mine, it seems to like to get into turn lanes thinking it's like the right-hand lane of the road or the left-hand lane of the road. And even if we're supposed to go straight, there's really only one lane, or maybe there's a couple lanes, but I'm in the one nearest the turn-off lane. The car will just decide, hey, that's another lane. I'm going to get over there. And I got to, jerk it back and no, report. And then, half a block down, it'll do the same thing the opposite way. And I don't think that happened a couple times on 10.4, but I didn't notice it all on 10.3.1. So I don't know if it's, I don't think my cameras are out of whack. It seems to be doing a lot of things great. And I think I may have mentioned this on another live stream, but one of the things it wanted to do getting onto the highway near my house was get into the HOV lane, and it shouldn't do that, but it kept wanting to jerk over there and do that. Now, I reported it several times on 10.4. On 10.5, it doesn't do that at all, which is fantastic. And it's really rewarding to see a correction you've put in solved. Love that. It's got some other little quirkiness on the entrance ramp still, but it fixed the big thing, so very happy with that. And most of the other stuff in Jim's video, Iowa Tesla Guy channel, is pretty similar to mine. It's very, very good. Sometimes it needs a little accelerator, and some days you just have to turn it off and drive yourself. But we have had a few trips to the park, my daughter and I, where it's done almost everything but a little accelerator push there and back. And the route back is actually more complex. So I'm looking forward to see how big the difference is to a 10.6 if they do that. I don't think they jumped to version 11 yet. We'll see. Who knows? Hopefully the autopilot team got a break over Thanksgiving, because if you think of how often they've been going every few weeks of a new revision, hopefully that team got a good break and a nice holiday. And then if it takes an extra week for us to get to a 10.6, then we can survive waiting for it. Let's see. Yeah, that's another thing Dave does great. I'm just reading his comment here about when you offer folks to drive a Tesla, it makes a good video. Yeah, getting those butts in seats, and especially some of those first-time driver reactions are really fun to watch. And it's also interesting the things... I can't think of a specific off the top of my head, but it's cool to see the things they ask or are surprised by. Like I was talking to some family members over Thanksgiving, and somebody else, another friend, got in the car and we were driving somewhere, and he's like, "Man, this is so weird. I don't know if I could get used to it." And it took me a minute to think about what's so weird. And then I realized, oh yeah, compared to a Camry or even a Model S, the Model Y and the Model 3 are pretty different, not having the binnacle screen and, just everything on the touchscreen. But you really get used to it so fast, and you don't realize how fast you do get used to it. Things like that. But, John's got a lot of Dave's got a lot of great videos of new drivers getting into Teslas. So that's another fun part on his channel. Let's see. Jim saying, I think we're talking about FSD again. For me, it's not about disengagements anymore. It's about improving the quality, smoothness, and confidence. Yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm feeling about it too. Where my first drive on 10.5, most of it was pretty bad, actually. I was asking it to do a lot, but it was a pretty bad first 10.5 drive. But when it took its first left at a stoplight, it was as smooth as I would do it. It made a perfect arc. The wheel wasn't doing this. It just did it. So much so that afterward I was like, oh, that was... Dang it. There we go. Yeah. And we're back. I apologize for that. Like I said, I thought I changed the settings so that wouldn't be happening. And different camera. Hopefully we can... really nice. But hopefully we can avert that from happening again. I turned the shut-off timer off, but apparently it just doesn't want to stay on indefinitely like the other camera does. So, sorry about that. Like I said, new camera should be coming tomorrow. Hopefully a lot of this stuff is solved. So yeah, there's definitely some smoothness stuff that's getting better. But 10.5 in some cases has been less confident than 10.4. Going to the park, there's kind of a quick S-turn. And Jim, I think you talked about when the yellow lines break, it can slow down a little bit as it finds the next set of yellow lines in the center of the road. And that's what happens. It's a residential street. But in the middle of this S-car curve, the yellow lines break. And it gets very confused at that point and almost comes to a complete stop and then advances. And There's no stop sign. There's a turn off on one side. So, yeah, rate of improvement, smoothness, confidence. That's going to be the interesting thing to see in the next few weeks. Yeah, Dave, you'd like Jim's channel. An FSD jerkiness went away for John. Well, that's good. Tonight he drove 6 miles all the way to his house without nice, without disengagements. Great. Made all the turns on the city streets, went around all the cars, no problem. Still stops 100 feet from my house in the cul-de-sac. And it won't drive into the driveway, yeah. Yeah, the constant slowdowns, I don't have it too bad. I haven't been driving as much on 10.5. Like I said earlier, I don't know if everyone was here for this, but my daughter's the school district went to distance learning for this week, so it's been a little different. I haven't had the time to go out and drive as much on 10.5 randomly as I did on 10.4. But yeah, I do, unless it's a dangerous intersection, my foot is always hovering over the accelerator rather than the brake. Dave, since you're in here, did you use FSD? I'm not sure if you have it on the Y, but did you? Yes, you do. I think I'm 99% sure you do. But did you use it much during your trip, or were you driving most of the time? I'd be curious to know that. Do you guys have a student driver or other sign on the back when testing FSD? I am right there with you, Dave. I don't have a student driver sticker. I've seen a lot of people post like them putting the FSD Beta in testing or something like that. I can't remember what company makes those stickers. But I don't think that means anything to anyone other who doesn't know Tesla. Like, what is FSD Beta training? Or, I think student driver is the way to go. And a lot of my disengagements, Dave, are for the exact reason you said. I am so conscious of people behind me being annoyed that's when most of my disengagements come. If no one's behind me, I'll let it be weird for a while. But I know as a driver, I get really frustrated easily if someone's being a meatball in front of me. And so I have thought about that. I haven't got anything yet, but I think unless a 10.6 gets considerably smoother, I think I probably will be getting a student driver sticker or something. Just to ease my mind. They might still get irate, but at least they'll be irate at a student driver rather than all Tesla owners. Because I kind of feel like that might be what's going to happen next is these Tesla owners don't know how to drive. They're braking all the time. They don't go up to stop signs. They're trying to get into turn lanes. I definitely had someone pass me yesterday who, as he was passing, was looking over like, what is going on in that car? So, yeah, I think it might be a good investment. Thank you, Shane. Welcome. Let's see. Oh, you do just no autopilot. Okay. Oh, you do not just autopilot. Okay. Yeah, because I knew you used on the trip. I knew you used autopilot a lot, but I didn't know if you had FSD or not. Jim's considered the sticker. He's on the fence. Kind of like the Robotaxi in training sign. Yeah, I think that looks cooler. I just don't know if people are going to know what it means. But in a parking lot or something, it might be a good conversation starter for someone who's curious, doesn't know about Tesla. I've still, when we had the EV event at the new St. Peter Supercharger, there were still people who didn't know what Teslas were or that it was a car company. And I've had people at other events say, well, who makes these? Well, Tesla. Yeah, but who owns Tesla? Tesla. So there is still a huge part of the world that doesn't pay any attention to this kind of stuff and still doesn't know. So robotaxing in training is probably a good conversation starter. A better conversation starter for, spreading the EV word. Yeah, John, I need a sticker that says baby on board. That'll really clear up the confusion. Maybe the Simpsons one. Get a sticker that says I'm a beta driver and I'm not drunk. Yeah. That's the thing. I think in some ways beta works better at night. At least it has for me. But still, I do wonder, and testing this at night, are people going to think some drunk is driving around their neighborhood? But, yeah, you never know. Speaking of EV stuff, one of the good things about them is that they're super safe. And on Twitter, there's been a lot of posts recently. There's usually a string of them, over time. But recently, it seems like there have been a lot of posts about people surviving pretty horrific crashes or like falling off a cliff kind of things and walking away. And that's fantastic. But, the media narrative is always, if there's a crash, it's a self-driving Tesla crashes and this. So I've taken something, and you guys can tell me if this is super morbid or if it might make good for a good point down the road. Whenever I see a auto crash news post, I've been taking a screenshot of it because it's always, woman dies in crash, car fire in, Maple Grove or, wherever. And so I've been taking screenshots. So when one comes up and it says Tesla, now maybe this news organization I'm following wouldn't do that. Maybe they would still call it a car fire or whatever. But I've taken to, and as we're getting holiday pictures and everything ready, we're looking for, we're making calendars for family and things like that. My wife was looking through my phone, and I'm like, there's some really depressing stuff in there as you're looking for pictures. But I kind of want to have that, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but maybe it's worth a video down the road of, just kind of talking about safety and, the difference between Teslas. And most EVs should be this way. We'll kind of see how the results come out. But, the media narrative is that EVs are going to catch fire and you're going to die, and that's not the reality. And it's happening every day in other cars. And as unfortunate as it is, I think there's a reason, I'm not sure how to use it yet, but for collecting this stuff, as morbid as it is. Not all of them are deaths. Sometimes it's just accidents or, people doing stupid things in their cars, but they never talk about what brand the car was. They talk about, driver, runs into this thing, or, driver veers off road into house, or, something like that. The driver is always blamed. In an EV, it's the car that's blamed, specifically Tesla. So, gonna save this here, and Jason is here. Hello. I hope your leg's doing well, and you're not in too much pain after the surgery. But welcome. Tesla's a band too. Well, that's true. Yeah, I did see the Biden stuff, talking to Mary Barra. That kind of stuff is super disappointing but predictable. I'm not going to get too into politics here, but the way I see elections is you're trying to steer the ship in a direction. And there are obviously exceptions to this. But if a candidate mostly aligns with the way you're thinking, but maybe not in the way exactly you're thinking, there can be some leeway there. And I think that's okay. Is it frustrating that the over-the-top praise for Ford and GM? Yes, it's super frustrating. But it's also, Biden ran as, I'm a union guy, union labor, union, and that's what we were going to get. I don't think there was any surprise there. Would it be great if he, talked Tesla and, praised, their leading or forcing the industry to go that way? Yeah, that'd be great. I don't know how realistic it is. The upside is if this next thing passes and there's an EV tax credit, Tesla's going to get a credit now again when they wouldn't and haven't for several years. So to some degree, you got to swallow some of that stuff and go, that was stupid. I wish you wouldn't do that. It's untrue and shilly for the auto union. But I don't think anybody could say it was unexpected. So I don't know. That's as much as I'm going to get into it, because otherwise we're going to go into a politics rabbit hole, and you guys didn't come here to talk politics, so I will steer clear of that massive iceberg. Anyway, I've been licensed high school. Oh, Jim, have a good night. You're probably gone already as I was rambling, but have a good night. And thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Jason, did you bring donuts? Jeez. I can't drive to go get them. Yeah, like I said, I hope that that surgery went all right. And if you're not feeling great, I hope you're up on some good medication. Not having to move too much. Using a Comet trunk lit mode on the hatchback. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's not politics. You're right. It is lying. I'm just saying I'm not going to get down the politics rabbit hole. because that again muddies the waters of good, friendly EV talk, and we can all have our opinions on things, but new charging stations are good, and if there's a new tax credit that Tesla owners or potential Tesla buyers can get a hold of, then that will be good and helpful. So, yeah, it's frustrating, but I'm going to leave that at that. Now Aaron's sharing donuts, so that's really nice. Let's see. What else? I have a whole bunch of things. A few years ago, I did a video planning our trip. I'm trying to think of which one it was. I think it was planning the Frunkful of Diapers series, where I kind of took my planning process and maybe used a couple different, I think I used a few different route planning tools, a better route planner, plug share, and EV, I can't remember what it's called. It's something like EV Route Planner, which was kind of the first EV route planner. And, kind of got varied results on each of them. But I was kind of taking you through the process of planning this massive road trip. And, as I did that was now 2 years ago. We're planning a big road trip. I've talked about this the last couple of weeks, down to Cocoa Beach at the end of February, where Joan and I will be driving again. We'll have to come up with a fun theme for that one too, like we had with the other couple. But I don't know if it would be worth revisiting, like now having owned an EV for a while, having done a lot of road trips, talk through the planning process and kind of show, here's how I do it, here's how I decide where I'm staying for the nights, because I'm going to have to start booking things relatively soon, so I'm going to have to figure that stuff out. I know that's helpful for new owners, but I don't know how useful it is to people who drive a lot, drive an EV a lot. But there are a lot of new owners all the time, so it might be worth revisiting. Just maybe streamline the process and talk about maybe some of the different apps and what's useful and what's noise. Again, everybody's got their own preference on things, so I'm trying to sort out a good way to do that and be helpful for people. So that might be coming in the next couple weeks, and probably in 4K, so you've got that to look forward to. Jason's surgery went well, great to hear. To pain yet, might still be nerve blocked almost 24 hours. Changing topics, lots of new plaid racing coming out. New brakes from Tesla, air ducting to help the brake issue from unplugged performance. Not much pain. Well, glad there's not much pain, and hope that continues and everything can heal up, and hopefully you'll be driving again soon. Yeah, the new brakes for the plaid are out. They're a little spicy at I think $20,000. Someone was questioning whether or not that's installed, but I don't know. If you're going to track it, that's probably what you're going to want. I don't know if there's aftermarkets that would be cheaper and work. I don't have a lot of experience, or to be honest, any experience with that level of performance brakes or vehicles. So But that's a lot of power. You got to stop fast if you're doing hairpins and things like that. And so, I don't know. Are you thinking of the brake upgrade, Jason? Or a third-party upgrade? If you want to go a cheaper route, instead of getting the brakes, you could just get the Cyber Whistle, which, what the heck was that? That came out last night, I think, was sold out. Then I think another batch went on sale today. I think they're sold out again. So I guess that's cool if you want a Cyber Whistle. I saw somebody had reposted it for sale on eBay for $5,000, or was it more? I don't know. That was the highest. I think that was the highest price I saw, and I was like, "You're insane!" Like, $50 for a whistle is a lot, other than the novelty for it. No offense to anyone if you ordered one. If you did, throw it in the chat or the comments below, because I think it's fun if you've got the money to blow. And hey, I don't have a whistle. I could get a Cyber Whistle. I wonder if Elon's next live presentation is just going to be all whistles instead of applause. That could get a little annoying. That might backfire on him. But I think it's kind of weird, but not out of the blue, that they would do something. Well, out of the blue, but not out of the ordinary, that they would do something like that. So just kind of an odd. I kind of wonder if it's recycled Starship material. Like, hey, we've got all the stainless steel laying around. There's nothing to do with it anymore. Yeah, let's melt it down or press it into these things and sell them for $50 to Tesla owners. Maybe. That was a weird thing, but hopefully people get them and like them, and who knows what'll happen. Yeah, very expensive. The gist I got on the brakes is that if you're going to track it, you would probably want them. If you're going to sprint it, like do 0 to 60s, quarter miles, you probably wouldn't need it. But that's just, again, not an experienced tracker, performance driving guy, just spitballing here. Dave, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And again, people check out Dave's channel. Lots of great road trips, lots of great EV information, new drivers, all that kind of stuff. So have a good night, and thanks for stopping by. Aaron says, I think Joan needs a cyber whistle for the back seat. Oh, man. Yeah, I was going back to that road trip we have planned for February. I kind of planned out if we stop and see everyone along the way and do all the things on our travels, which would be cool, but it would take a long time. The Better Route Planner total time with charging and driving was 63 hours just of driving. That's going to be a lot. There's a much faster way we could go and just kind of go straight shot down to Cocoa Beach, and that would end up more around probably around 48 hours, maybe less. I can't quite remember what it was, but I'm trying to figure out a few different ways, because I'd like to stop and see people, family, other YouTube friends as well, and that would be cool. But that might also be turning a 1-week vacation into a 3-week saga, which I don't know. I'd kind of like to do, but also want to be respectful for the fact that Joan does need to get back in school at some point. And maybe life on the road isn't as glamorous for an 8-year-old as it is for her dad. So we'll have to see how that pans out. I'm going to have to, like I said, in the next couple days, I'm going to have to start booking things, and we'll see how that goes. So we talked about that, and might be doing another winter range test. I want to get that piece of plastic fixed on the bottom of the car from when I hit the raccoon. Still haven't done that, but I might be doing a winter range test in the next couple weeks with the Model Y. I might put the Aero wheels back on for that. And then I'm just going to... Jason had some comments here. I'm going to just go through them quick. Sold out very quickly, hoping to get my Cybertruck logo soon. I did get the new Mattel RC Cybertruck. I'd buy Starship parts. Yeah, I would too. If they had said the Cybertruck whistle was made out of Starship parts, I'd be like, I would have paid $50 for that easy. But I don't think that was ever said. Did I see the scary video of the Team Plaid crashing in Canada? No, I didn't. It's the other Rosemount Plaid that they sent to Mountain Pass to try tuning it for next year's lap one race. Oh. That's... So I assume they were driving it, they were tracking it or driving aggressively in the mountains or something. Oh, well, I hope the driver lived. I did not see that crash, but I guess I'll look for it. Sounds morbid to go search for something like that, but yeah, I guess it would be good to see. Hate to see... I saw someone posted a video of, I think it was a Model 3 hitting a camel. And that was one of the craziest things just bizarre things I've ever seen. Here we go again. You guys are so lucky you get to watch all of these really fantastic technical moments of this live stream. What are you going to do if one day you show up here and it's professional and looks good and sounds good? You're going to think you're in the wrong place. Car's okay and they're okay? Oh, good. That's great to hear. That's the most important part, although the crash is unfortunate. And I don't know if those new brakes would have helped, but probably would help with controlling it. It's a lot of power. Other stuff that's going on, just quickly, there's I don't know if anybody watches Out of Spec. I'm blanking on his name. Brandon's done a couple videos for them. Why am I not... hey, Todd. We got what we paid for. I just realized that was about the stream. So, yes, you get what you pay for. Crashed the model plaid twice. Scary. Yeah, that is scary. Yeah. Anyway, Kyle Connor from Out of Spec posted this morning that they were inviting a bunch of smaller YouTube channels that cover EVs to go to LA this Sunday and drive a whole bunch of people are going to bring EVs there, and people will be able to drive them and cover it. And I just can't make it. I can't make that work this weekend for family reasons and a couple other things going on. I desperately want to because a lot of people are going to be there. A lot of people I'd like to talk to, pick their brains. Obviously driving like the I think Audi, there's going to be an Audi there. I think a whole bunch of different newer EVs are going to be there. Brandon's going out there, so I'm sure he'll have videos on it. I'm sure Out of Spec will have videos on it too. But I really wanted to get out there to, like I said, pick people's brains, cover the event, kind of what's going on. That's where when I used to work for an event production company, so I kind of like to see, kind of get the big picture of events. Obviously, covering the cars would be cool, but most of those cars people own in Minnesota, and so you can find someone to either get a ride or test drive or something. But it just didn't work out. He posted that, and I kind of had an inkling like something like this was coming, and it was just with a few days' notice, it's too tough to get out there. But we'll hopefully see some fun videos coming out of that. I would guess in the next couple weeks from both Out of Spec. I think maybe Blake Check's channel. Blake might be out there. It sounds like I'm blanking on other people's names, but there should be some good content that comes out of there, even if it's not from me. But it was a bummer. I was like, oh man, that's such a great opportunity. Again, I don't know everybody who's going to be there, but I got the sense that a few people were going to be there. I'm like, oh, I really want to ask this person that question, and this would be a great opportunity to do that in person without it feeling like I'm spamming them, with a DM or something like that. So unfortunately, that's going to pass by. We're not going to make it to that, but should be a great event, and look forward to all the channels that will be covering it. So we will see. Let's see. May have been an ABS issue. That's the video tile. Oh, we crashed the Model S Plaid twice. Scary. Okay, that is the title of the video Jason's talking about. Okay. Yeah, so I'll check that out. I'm not going to check it out now because obviously that would be rude, if nothing else. And you guys should get what you paid for. Dang it. That's the way it should be. The only other things I was going to touch on was there was a report about a whistleblower and some Porsche battery issues. Sounds like it's from only one source. Porsche seems to be denying it. We'll have to wait and see. Keep hearing it, or see if we hear any more about that, or if owners start speaking up about, yes, this happened, no, it didn't. Again, you don't know how credible something is until you get a little more information, so we'll have to see how that goes. But It'd be unfortunate if that was the case, because there again, if like I was saying earlier with the Bolt people maybe not trusting GM or not trusting EVs, if that starts happening with Porsche owners too, are we going to see a backslide in EV adoption? Maybe not, but part of the clout for EVs was that Porsche got on board so heavily. And people started having those conversations of Model S or Taycan or, like, which one do you want? And so now you're talking with an old brand that's got a strong history with a new up-and-coming brand, and then that gets people talking. And so it would be really unfortunate if that started coming out that, they were having major battery problems and customers weren't happy. But I don't think we know enough yet. And maybe Porsche owners, I'm not generalizing, well, I am generalizing here, but I don't, maybe they have other vehicles, so it's like, oh, that one got shipped off for a week for a new battery, no big deal. Who knows? We'll probably learn more, but not much info on that yet. At least not much info from multiple sources on that yet. I'll say it that way. Sounds like Elon's going to be on the Q4 call. That should be interesting. That'll be in late January, and we'll maybe hear how things are going to roll. Hopefully both new factories are churning out vehicles at that point. So I would guess it will be kind of a State of the Union kind of talk of like, okay, here's how these ramps are going. Here's what's coming next, when we expect to see Cybertruck, when we expect to see volume production of the Plaid X, because I still don't think we're at volume production of that yet. A couple people have said they've seen them around, but I don't think there are any here yet, in Minnesota at least. Just people in California have seen them. So I could be wrong on that, but that's the vibe I'm getting, is that hasn't ramped up yet. So we'll see. Looking forward to... I was perfectly fine with him being off the last call, but it would be good to get a big picture. Where are we? People have been begging for a Cybertruck update. They got a whistle instead. And so, that would be good if that can kind of be roped in or kind of wrapped into that. Then there's also talk of there's rumors of the 12-9 stock split. I don't think that's going to happen. There's a funny but kind of detrimental trait of the Tesla world where someone says something is, like, oh, well, maybe they're going to do this. And then another channel or another person starts saying, oh, well, yeah, that could make sense. They could do that. And then, 3 or 4 people start talking about it. And within a month, it's a sure thing. I'm trying to remember when they did the AI Day. Was AI Day the one they did outdoors? No, it was Battery Day. And people were sure that, like, the Plaids were going to roll out with the new batteries in them. And that clearly wasn't the case. But, like, the Tesla world had got itself convinced, like, that's going to be the big thing. And then it was just a Battery Day. And it was really cool to see that roadmap. But, a lot of people were really disappointed that, this new fantastic thing didn't show up. Or, is the $25,000 car going to show up at one of these things or something? And I think it's fun to talk about that stuff, but some people get it so set in their heads that it's absolutely going to happen. And then, just like, well, that was stupid. That was a big disappointment. It's like, no one told you that was going to be there. So, like, keep your expectations in check a little bit. Now, it could be possible that Elon's been playing with that, or, kind of trolling people with 12.9 stuff since that became a thing. Or something could actually happen that day. I don't think it's going to be a stock split, especially with how crazy up and down it's been lately. And I think a lot of that's macro stuff. I'm not a stock professional by any means, so take everything I say with a grain of salt when it comes to that. I'm notorious for getting in, the wrong grocery line. We've owned a Prius and 2 Teslas and have managed to not get a single tax credit on any of them. So financial advice should not be coming from this guy. But anyway, just hold your horses on expectations for that. But we'll see. Maybe something will happen on 12.9. We'll see. It's only 8 days away. So that is about all I had tonight. And I don't know if the camera's going to knock off again here. But if there's anything else you guys would like to talk about, feel free to throw it in the chat. And I'd be happy to talk about other stuff. Did anybody see the Get Back Beatles documentary thing? We could talk about that for a couple minutes too. Totally unrelated, but why not? Yeah, Elon doesn't need any more stock troubles with the SEC. Let's just keep things even keel. Just be a business. Just do your thing. Jason, have a good night. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you continue to heal well. Just watched the Beatles thing over the last several nights. Probably why I'm behind on editing. But it was interesting. I'm not the biggest Beatles fan in the world. I don't have anything against them, and I think they have a lot of great music. But I also think people go a little over the top with they're the greatest thing that ever walked the earth. So I found it really interesting and also super annoying in a I was in a band for a few years and not anything similar. But I've been in rehearsals that were loud and screw around rehearsals when you're supposed to be getting stuff done. Or like you're in a great mood and somebody else in the band isn't in a great mood. And it's like that part of me was like it was really grating on me. Because, like, somebody's trying to figure out their song, and they might be being a little silly with it, but they're trying to figure it out. And someone else is, like, screaming something in the background, or and it's like, that would be so frustrating. Cool to see how some songs came together, and but it ended very abruptly. I did like it, but it was just... it was like watching a band rehearse. And, the good and the bad of it, and, the incredible talent that they had, and the unfortunate, unfortunate place they were, in their lives and careers, where sometimes they were talking to each other and it just wasn't clicking. Some of that stuff was pretty fascinating. The George and Paul talking to each other and both having the best honest intentions and it just not clicking. where they, just couldn't see, like they both understood each other, but they weren't accepting where the other one was. And that kind of stuff is, it was really interesting to see, especially knowing like the incredible amount of talent these guys have. But yeah, it seemed very very real band rehearsing. The frustration, the good stuff when it goes well is lots of laughs and lots of fun. So, but yeah, it just kind of ended abruptly, and I'm like, oh, that's done. But the rooftop concert was cool. Like I said, some of it was very cool. Seeing the dynamics between the guys was really good, and their reaction to their own press. And like, oh, apparently this happened to us. That kind of stuff was pretty fun. Fun to see. So I don't know if it needed to be 6 hours, but I don't know if this this live stream needed to be this long. Definitely not. But anyway, that's just another thing that's been on my mind. I've thought if people have seen it, it would just be another quick thing to throw in at the end. Without me going on another rant. How about that? So ABBA got together and made a new album. Yeah, apparently they did, and apparently ABBA fans like it. That's what I heard. That's a band I never really got too into. I enjoy the cheesiness of some of it now, but I couldn't tell you more than 2 or 3 ABBA songs. Maybe I need to go back and revisit that and then check out their new album. Quick rando before I go. Tesla dropped a new camp mode promo video today. I did not see that. Thank you for letting me know. I will check that out. I saw somebody post something about camping. I think it was Eli Burton. But he does so much, like he does My Tesla Adventure and Adventures of Starman. So I kind of just assumed it was him car camping. But he did say something about official car camping, something now that I'm remembering that post, and I just assumed it was like something he was doing, calling it official without it, technically being, and an ATV. Okay. So, yeah, I got to check that up. I'm not up to speed on the news. You know what, guys? Not everyone's an expert. And he tied it up with a little bow, just like that. But I hope everyone has a great night. I think I need to go check out that camping video and, unfortunately, that Model S Plaid crashing video. And hopefully next week, like I said, video quality should be vastly improved. Hopefully lighting quality is too. I should be getting my lights back this weekend. And, we'll hopefully the camera isn't shutting off every half hour, 40 minutes, whatever it's doing. But before it does again, I want to say good night. Thank you very much for joining me. And have a great week. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks. And now the awkward part where Brian sings a song and tries to find the last scene. End scene. Bye. Thanks.